Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this February 24th, 2025 meeting of the Great Falls Public Schools Board of Trustees. Happy to have you here. This meeting will be recorded as per state law and will be posted on our website at some point in the future. Mr. Patrick, would you please administer the roll call?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gordon Johnson.
Here.
Kim Skornagoski. Bill Bronson.
Here.
Mark Finicum.
Here.
Marley Senchow. Amy Thompson.
Here.
Paige Torosky.
Here.
We have a full board present, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick. Trustee Finicum, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Trustee Skornagoski.
I move we adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda as presented. Are there any comments or questions from our Board of Trustees? Are there any comments, questions from our gallery here with us this afternoon? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of adopting the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We have an agenda from which to work. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Trustee Torosky.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. I've been alerted there's been one small change in the consent agenda, and I would invite Mr. Deacons to come and clarify that for us, please.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Chairman Johnson, members of the board, Superintendent Hoyer. We do have one small correction to make on here. If you go down to the line item position, library teacher aides, you are going to see your original said Hewitt Carissa. It's actually Hewitt Rihanna. Pay and everything remains the same. That was correct. It just happened to be an extra click in there that put the
This will
wrong
be
person.
found on page 14.
Sorry, page 14, yes.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda with the one amendment as stated by Mr. Deacons. Any questions or commentary from our Board of Trustees? Any questions or commentary from our gallery? If not, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. We are on to communication and character strong Giant Springs. Mrs. Mainwaring.
Good evening, Chairman Johnson, members of the board, Superintendent Hoyer, members of our community. It's my pleasure tonight to welcome Principal Carla Miller and her group from Giant Springs to present about Character Strong.
Well, welcome. It's nice to have you here.
Well, thank you so much for having us. I'm Carla Miller. I am very honored to be the principal at Giant Springs Elementary. I have returned to Great Falls. I started my career here 21 years ago and felt so supported as a teacher here, and then really appreciated the education that my own personal children got, that I ended up returning here as a principal. So I'm very excited to be here. This is my second year at Giant Springs. We currently have 413 students. We have 22 classrooms, and we're doing some pretty amazing things. And so I'm very excited to introduce you to some of our amazing things as well as some of our amazing students. They're each going to go ahead and introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Dawson Hall, and I am a pilot in training. Hi, my name is Laramie Moog, and one fun fact about me is I am a baker. Hi, my name is Chandler Knifert, and one thing about me is I do seasonal jobs.
Perfect. So we have some pretty amazing things, and I do have to say she is a pretty good baker because she's made some pretty yummy things for the teachers and everything. We want to talk about Character Strong, and so we definitely utilize Character Strong at Giant Springs. And this month is focused on honesty, and each one of our students wants to speak about how we use Character Strong in our building and also talk about honesty. So we're going to start with Chandler explaining about honesty.
What honesty looks like to me is telling the truth to adults because you get in less trouble if you tell the truth. You don't have to tell, and you don't have lies to hide. At Giant Springs, honesty looks like telling the truth all the time, taking responsibility for your actions even if you make a mistake. I show honesty by telling the truth to my teacher and not lying to the principal.
Alrighty. Dustin?
I will be talking about how Giant Springs does these whole school assemblies. Each assembly has to do with the monthly character trait. Every teacher chooses one student to get a certificate and a chance to be Student of the Month. For their grade, to get the reward, you need to be honest for this month's character trait. We try to booster students' character traits with the Student of the Month assemblies. I will be talking about morning meeting. Morning meeting is a honesty building thing. And how you do morning meeting is by making a circle, and all the classes will make a circle in their classroom, and you will every student will talk about their character strong of the month, and 3 classes of the 6th grade will meet in the library, and some of the special teachers that can come and listen, and this builds relationships, and morning meeting helps build relationships and building honesty with one another.
And so part of the reason we start with morning meeting is really to get students started. We really can't control what goes on at home or like when my own children, sometimes that argument in the car. So coming in, making sure they get their breakfast, and then morning meeting, being able to regulate themselves and really build that sense of community and that sense of belonging, and also focusing on Character Strong. Another important thing that we do here at Giant Springs is our strong character tickets. And it is based upon our 3 universals, which are we are responsible, we are respectful, and we are safe. Each one of our students is going to explain what each one of those means. So Laramie?
Responsibility is one of our 3 rules of the school. Responsibility is not being late to school and turning in on assignments on at time, and bringing the right items to school, such as instruments for 5th and 6th graders, snow gear, and gym shoes.
Respect to me is caring for someone you dislike, even letting students you don't normally sit with at lunch sit at your table, or letting them join your game is being respectful.
We are safe, and it means no climbing on chairs or picking them up. You can be safe by not standing on your chair or desk. And another thing is walking in the hallways and not talking during drill are ways that I am safe at Giant Springs.
And so what we'd like to do is our students are going to pass out some of our strong character tickets so you can take a look at them. And so students can earn these strong character tickets for demonstrating at least one of these universals. On the back, the teacher can write a personal note, or the educator, so any adult in the building can write a specific note, because if we're specific in our feedback, it definitely has more meaning. So they can write that note to the student. They end up bringing down the certificate to the office, and there's a portion that we rip off, and we have a hundreds chart up in our hallway, and students get to select a number that's not been selected yet, and they put that small portion of the slip in that number. Every Monday, we do drawings. We always want to start off the week with something positive. And so we have the computer randomly generate 10 numbers between 1 and 100. And we announce that on our announcements. Students come down, get a prize. And the other portion of the strong character ticket, students can either take home or they can keep it, because that feedback is always very important. When we do fill the hundreds chart, we do something fun with those 100 students. And so this past time, we did a secret spirit day that only they knew about and the adults knew about. So we came in pajamas with our stuffies. Some other things that we've done is they get a coupon and they can wear a hat or bring a stuffy to school. So doing fun things like that. We're definitely focusing on the positive. And so when we see what we're looking for. And so part of these strong character tickets are really to be looking for those students, because they're doing amazing things, looking for those students who are doing exactly what we need them to be. And it's a great way to honor them and a great way to celebrate. In closing, I just want to say thank you so much for your hard work. Our school board as well as our cabinet, we appreciate all the hard work that you do, and appreciate you having our students here to be able to present, and they're pretty amazing. And so I would love to give them a round of applause. They worked very hard on exactly what they were going to say, and I appreciate all their hard work and them being here, and I really appreciate families bringing them here too. Thank you.
What a great presentation. Thank you so much. We're inspired. I think your presentation is going to help each of us in this room be a little bit more honest each and every day. So thank you for that. Lisa Sapp, is she with us?
She was unable to make it this evening, Chairman Johnson.
I see. Thank you. So that brings us to communication item C, Superintendent's Report. Mrs. Hoyer.
Well, good evening, Chairman Johnson, members of the board, and members of our community. Nice warm evening this evening, a little different than our last board meeting. So I'm so excited to be able to share some information with you about Great Falls Public Schools. So our first slide is just a quick representing GFPS. I have talked to Principal Jeff Hobble. They are going to be bringing these folks with them to the next board meeting, so I don't want to steal their thunder, because there's a pretty cool story that goes with the girls swim state championship. But you probably saw on social media, Great Falls High School's girls were repeat state champs in swimming. Congratulations to Coach McNamee. Their boys received a third place trophy at state. Congratulations to Coach Kranza. And there are our individual state champions from both CMR and Great Falls High. Georgia Hatzenbeller, 100 breaststroke. She set a new state record. It was a fantastic. Seth Wolbelt, Great Falls High boys, 100-meter backstroke. Great Falls High girls, their 200 medley relay team won. Their 400 freestyle relay team won. And then in wrestling, we had 3 state champs in Great Falls. Maddie Dieter from CMR won the 125 weight class in girls wrestling. Kale Forsinger for Great Falls High boys won the 126. And then Kale Bauman from Great Falls High won 157. So we'll get to see those folks and their coaches at the next meeting and hear a little bit about their championships. So I was chuckling with Brian because at 6 o'clock in the morning last Friday, we couldn't decide if it was donuts at dawn or pastries at pre-dawn, definitely pre-dawn. Mr. Patrick picked up multiple dozens of donuts for the 64 drivers for Big Sky Bus Lines who drive the 64 routes every day. So a very special thank you to those bus drivers because they run 40 general education routes, 24 IDEA routes, and then they also drive our charters. And we wanted to recognize them on National School Bus Drivers Morning. Had great conversations, heard some good stories, laughed, and thanked them a lot. In addition to this, a very special thank you to Cascade County Sheriff Scott Van Dyken. You probably saw on social media we had what happens sometimes with a bus that slid off the road on really icy roads. And under Sheriff Van Dyken and his officers who were with him actually witnessed it happen. Big Sky Bus Lines quickly got a bus en route, but it was a little cold. They decided to load the kids up in the cars, and the sheriff's department took them to school, which the kids said were fabulous. Just a very special thank you, Director Barbie Stucker up at Big Sky Bus Lines called all of the families. We only had 10 students who were on the bus, so called all the families, talked to all the parents, and let them know that they were on their way to school, and then we got the bus out of the ditch and off we went the next day. So roads are much better now, but this is just a really good example of the wide range of partnerships we have throughout Great Falls Public Schools and our county. High Voltage Weekend was a huge success, and I know Becky Nelson does not like to be thanked, but she is not here, so I am going to thank her profusely. She worked her tail off to make this a very successful weekend. It started with the Great Falls Public Schools Business After Hours art show, student art show in the Dark Horse, which was very, very well attended. And then it flowed, so that was Thursday night, flowed into Friday night when we welcomed 27 aspiring teachers and over the course of 2 days, 34 faculty members. But a big thank you to those donors, and the list of donors is listed for you to show you the folks who came forward and provided $10,250 to support this last weekend. TDS was our premier sponsor. Opportunity Bank was our gold sponsor. We will have a member of TDS at the next board meeting. He was unable to make it this evening, had a different commitment. But a huge thank you to everybody who was involved. I was not there when Mr. Anders Blewett gave the keynote address on Saturday, but I heard it was amazing and moved quite a few people to understand what makes Great Falls so special in Great Falls Public Schools. So thank you to Becky for organizing all of that. Dual enrollment information nights have been happening throughout the year, but I wanted to share with you a little bit of data, and thank you to Stacy Wiegum up at Great Falls College MSU and the work that she does in helping Great Falls College MSU be our largest dual credit partner. Just for your information, in 2023-2024, 274 Great Falls Public School students took a total of 329 courses throughout the year. 144 were students at CMR, 113 were Great Falls High, and 17 were Paris. 80 of them were online or in person at Great Falls College, MSU, and most of those students are Paris because Principal Jakes likes to have her students actually get their feet on the ground up on campus. So many of her students are up there. 312 were concurrent courses, meaning that they were taught by high school faculty on the high school campus through the partnership with the college. And so we continue our work with Great Falls College MSU and are very, very proud of them for providing opportunities for our kids and our students for taking advantage of those opportunities as they prepare for their future. So some more representing Great Falls Public Schools. You'll notice 3 pictures that Becky sent me. So Lincoln Elementary, there were 3 students this last winter who provided blankets and gift cards to Sletton Cancer Institute. Great Falls High School was recognized by the Salvation Army for raising over $3,300 doing their Red Kettle campaign. And then Whittier Elementary students had a book author tea party in Mrs. LaValle's class. Miss LaValle is here, I believe, in the back of the room, if you want to raise your hand. And this evening, we have some very special treats. Before I move on, or I guess we can move on, we have 2 authors with us who are going to come up and read their stories about their favorite animals. So I'm going to back up a little bit so they can sit here and read, and we can pay attention to the screen. So we have Bailey and Zoli. Ladies, if you want to come on up. We're going to read about the amazing cow. So Bailey's up first. by the way, she is holding the book that has been published. And I will let you all know how to purchase one should you be interested in purchasing one. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to author Bailey.
Hi, my name is Bailey, and I wrote about the amazing cow. Come explore animals with us to learn about the cow. Did you know that cows are the most common animal in the world? They can smell up to 5 miles away. Cows are mammals and they breathe oxygen. Baby cows are called calves. Cows run faster than a horse. Cows say mew to communicate. I hope I could ride a cow one day.
And next, Zoli is going to tell us about the cheetah.
Hi, my name is Zoe, and I wrote about the love of cheetahs. Come explore animals with us and learn about cheetahs. Cheetah moms have 4 to 6 cubs. Mom has to teach her cubs how to survive in the dry, open grasslands of Africa and Asia. Cheetahs are daylight hunters, and their fur is a spotted padded. This allows them to blend in easily among high, dry grasslands. After a chase, a cheetah will need half an hour to catch its breath before it can eat. Cheetahs don't roar like lions and tigers, but they do purr just like house cats. However, they do utter a wide variety of sounds. No other animal can run faster than a cheetah. I saw a cheetah on a live webcam. They are truly neat animals.
So I think we just heard from the first of many works from these amazing young authors who did their tea and book reading with authors at Whittier Elementary. Principal Frank Gilbert is here with us, and I'm sure that all of his authors sure do that school proud. So thank you very much, ladies, for teaching us about cows and cheetahs. I want to end a little bit with data for the day. And you have in front of you the updated strategic plan that is highlighted to show our progress in meeting our action steps and our goals for all 3 of our goal areas. Just a reminder, if they're highlighted in green, those action steps have been accomplished, so we will be moving them to archive. If they are yellow, they're in progress. If they are unhighlighted, we haven't started them yet, and I'm proud to say we have everything in progress or achieved at this point during the year. But I wanted to focus in on healthy, safe, and secure schools, and our goal for that, for those of you who aren't aware, is by June of 2027, a reminder that we had to have a 3-year strategic plan for accreditation. So Great Falls Public Schools will implement evidence-based strategies and opportunities to increase appropriate behavior among students. This will be measured by a 5% decrease in major incidents by increasing students' opportunities to demonstrate skills, traits, and characteristics identified by profile of a learner and reported by school-based and district-level data. What you heard tonight from both schools is an example of healthy, safe, and secure schools in action. Before I go, though, or on to the next slide, I want to share Mrs. Renee Mullins. She is one of our fabulous lunch ladies at Riverview. And when I was doing my school walk around for 3rd quarter, it was cold, really cold. We were just starting to get to the point where we could have the kids go outside for recess. We have a lot of flu and illness going through the schools, and we were shorthanded. And as the 6th graders, I believe they were, hit the cafeteria with a lot of energy, Mrs. Mullins did what every educator, and I think you heard Mrs. Miller say, every adult is a teacher. This is an example of it. She took the microphone and she was going through the expectations in the cafeteria. She was reminding them of their character strong trait, and she was doing some RCD and she was running it lockstep. It was so cool to watch. And we were able to watch that in action. And I'm just very proud to say that Mrs. Mullins is one of our staff members. When we look at the data, we can show some great growth. When you look at incident severity, this is major for the school year. We are seeing a 27.4% decrease in major incidents alone, with a reminder that our goal was 5%. When we compare it to the same exact time or point in time last year and the years before. We know that 2021 is an outlier because we didn't have all of our students physically with us during that time. So just as a reminder why that number is so low, we kind of set that data point aside because many students were not face-to-face, but were virtual. So we're feeling really good about our progress and looking forward to the work we need to do this spring to be sure that we continue to maintain that progress. Some of the reasons for this is because we're calibrating our documentation when we look at major incidents within our schools. Our principals are doing that work with the executive directors. RCD has been a big factor in helping us work with students and helping them realize the impact of their behavior on others and how they own their behavior and redirect. Character strong. And then thank you, Brian. And then the collective education that you saw with, for example, Mrs. Mullins on that is really an important part of what we do. When you combine major with minor incidents, we're actually down 38% over the same exact time last year. So that is not done with a lot of hard work on the teacher's part, on the administrator's part, but also on the students and the parents' part. And so I just want to give a huge shout out to the staff and the parents and the students who are embracing this and making this change happen in our schools. When we dig into the details, so my last slide is going to show you in the graph table or the data table is represented by the graph itself. It's just hard to read. What you will see here is our aggravated assaults. So this is where we have students that are going after each other in a very aggressive manner within the school. In many cases, we can have them cited if it is prudent. We have 38 of those this year. Our attendance appears to be better with 359 major attendance violations. Disorderly conduct is 741 compared to 804. Our fighting, where it's definitely two-sided, oftentimes we can also loop that under disorderly conduct, but that is down a little bit as well. And the one area that we're seeing an increase in is insubordination, with just a slight bump of 3 more incidents this year than over last year. And then school threats are remaining consistent with 8 of 8, but we're starting to see more school threats happen at younger ages versus older ages. So that's an interesting data point for us to dig into. I did highlight that COVID year, the alternative in attendance definitely impacted that. But with that, I will entertain any questions, and if not, that is my report for this board meeting. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Are there any questions for Superintendent Hoyer? Good work. Thank you very much. Going on to Communication D, audience communication. I've had no requests to speak before this Board of Trustees this evening, so we'll go on to action items. And before we do that, our friends from Giant Springs, you're free to be excused should you choose to go. We have action items and but you're free to go. All right.
Thank you, guys. You did
Thank
an
you for
amazing
being
job.
here.
Nice job.
Thanks so much for being here. All right. Action item A, Lewis and Clark Elementary School Playground Improvement Project. Mr. Patrick.
What you have before you is the Lewis and Clark Elementary School Playground Improvement Project. Hats off to Ben Jakes and the PTA at Lewis and Clark. They've done a lot of groundwork to raise money to improve their playground. And just so you know, as far as playground projects go, we've got a process that's been established where we've worked with TD&H to do a handicapped assessment, make sure we meet all the guidelines that we do. And then the Lewis and Clark Foundation is working with the Great Falls Public Schools Foundation as they raise money and thank donors. And what the final part of the process is, the work will take place this summer, and then they will bring that to the board for approval. And the reason they do that is for insurance purposes. So at this point in time, just would like you to approve the Lewis and Clark Elementary School PTA project moving forward on the playground.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick.
Mr. Chair,
Trustee Turoski.
I move that we approve the Lewis and Clark Elementary School PTA ability to move forward on upgrading the Lewis and Clark Elementary School playground as presented.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Lewis and Clark Elementary School project. Any questions or commentary from this Board of Trustees regarding this motion? Any from our audience here with us this evening? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Great project. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Action item B, Lincoln Elementary School Fire Alarm Upgrade Project Award. Mr. Patrick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. In November, you approved going out for bidding on the Lincoln Fire Alarm Project, and one of the things that we're in a process of trying to annually replace 1 or 2 fire alarms, and the advantage of when we replace it, it's an internal and an external warning system for people coming in probably from the outside as well. And we had 2 bidders on this project, which is good because then you know that at least 2 people, you know the number you have is the low bidder, and they had to sharpen their pencils to do that. We advertised on February 2nd and February 9th, and in my prep sheet, it says 2024, it's really 2025. We didn't do it last year, so I'd like to make that correction. And the bid results came in, and the recommendation is to award it to Liberty Electric in the amount of $149,658. The estimated bid amount from our TD&H, who did drew up all the designs, and hats off to Brad Kaufman and his work that he put into this whole project. They came up with $138,996, so that's pretty close. And in this day and age, I'm happy with that. And my recommendation is to move forward with awarding the bid to Liberty Electric so they can get their stuff ordered and work on the project this summer.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick.
Mr. Chair,
Trustee Turoski.
I move that we award the bid to Liberty Electric to replace the fire alarm system at Lincoln Elementary School in the amount of $149,658 as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to award the bid to Liberty Electric to replace the fire alarm system. Any questions or commentary from our Board of Trustees? Down here. Trustee Finicum.
Just a clarification,
Certainly.
Mr. Patrick, would you tell us how we're funding that?
It's coming out of our building reserve. It's one of the levies that the state provides money. It's the $110 per student plus $15,000 per district. So that money generates money that we can do projects like this.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or commentary from our Board of Trustees for Mr. Patrick? Any comments from our gallery? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call for the motion. All those in favor of awarding the bid to Liberty Electric to replace the fire alarm system at Lincoln, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Action item C, declare reduction in force process and criteria to be used in the event RIF becomes necessary. Mr. Deacons.
Again, Chairman Johnson, members of the board, Superintendent Hoyer, and members of our community out there, I'm before you today to talk about the RIF process or reduction in force. As part of our budget every year, as you know, we have our first budget meeting coming up next week, I believe it is. So just to be in touch with that, if it would become necessary that funding would start to look very different, and we had to run a reduction in force within our collective bargaining agreements and policy, we do have ways to make that happen in an order that we go to. So in the pages following this in your board agenda, you will see each of those laid out for you, as well as MCA codes and so forth. If you have further questions, I'm happy to answer them for you. But basically, in the end, it would be some sort of a financial reduction we'd have to be making, and we'd have to run through these processes to make sure that we do it correctly. So I do request that you declare the possibility for reduction in force, as always, with these attached processes and criteria.
Thank you, Mr. Deacons.
Mr. Chair,
Trustee Skonikowski.
I move that we declare the possibility of a reduction in force and adopt the attached process and criteria should that be needed.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to declare the possibility of a reduction in force. Are there any questions or commentaries from our Board of Trustees? Any questions or commentary from our gallery? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mr. Deacons, non-renewal, temporary, non-tenured teachers with positions expiring June 6, 2025.
Thank you, Chairman Johnson. Again, I was before you in December. We went through our first group of one-year-only hires. They were temporary employees. They were either filling positions that employees had taken leave, or they were hired after the first of the year. We do have a few more of these to account for that we've hired throughout the school year, which is really pretty exciting news for us, because as people move into our community, when they are licensed and ready to go to work in our district, we want to get them tied to Great Falls Public Schools as soon as possible. The flip side of that is we can't keep them long-term because we do have to do the one-year-only process, and that allows them, though, once we go through the non-renewal, for them to apply in the in-district process. We hopefully get to keep them for next year as well if everything works out. We do have about 8 or 9 of them on this one as well that were hired after that December date that we needed to make you informed with, so we can inform them as well of the outcome. So we do request that you non-renew the teachers listed, as they are temporary positions that expire on June 6, 2025. And with that, I would say I'll probably be back in front of you at least one more time, because we just hired somebody this week as well. And it's hard to let somebody go before they've actually started working. So we got to make sure we run it in the right order.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Trustee Chirowski?
I move that we non-renew the teachers listed that expire June 6, 2025 as presented.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to non-renew the teachers listed as they are in temporary positions. Any questions or commentary for Mr. Deacons from our Board of Trustees? From our gallery? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Deacons.
Thank you.
We'll see you again. Nothing was pulled from the consent agenda, so we can bypass item 8, action other, and move right into reports, discussion, and policies. Man, we're making up some real time here, aren't we, tonight? Trustee Chirowski? You got plenty of time, too.
All right. I don't have too much. I got to do my convocation half day last Friday on the 14th. That was a lot of fun. It was I filled in for Mr. Is it Aileen? Is that how you pronounce it? At Great Falls High as a history teacher, and he was greatly missed. I guess they had a lot of teachers out that day. So there were a lot of kids asking if he was okay. Yeah, he's not sick. He gets relaxed today. They were all really well behaved, and I didn't have to, send anyone to the principal's office, fortunately. And did get asked an interesting question by a student. They were having a little bit of a debate, and it was, "Do you think cereal and milk is soup?" I, s- I
Whoa.
s- I don't think so. So I said no. And one of the kids was having kids sign a petition to see whether or not other students agreed. But that was a bit of humor in that day. But it was fun. It was a very snowy day, so I was glad to be inside. But it was fun, and all the kids at Valley View are so happy to be back outside playing.
Yeah.
Finally, their audible cheers down the hall of excitement, and they're running amok outside and stepping in puddles and getting muddy, and so it's fun to see. They all come in red faced and sweaty from running around, but it's good to they're getting fresh air and energy out. But that's about it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Trustee Bronson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of things. Number one, we did have our third and final community consensus session here about a week and a half ago with members of the community. Trustee Skornagowski and I had another opportunity to interact with those folks, and I'll defer to her perceptions on it, but I do think the end product was a very good one, a very useful one to guide initially the budget committee, but also this board should we have to make some difficult decisions down the road with respect to our budget. And in that regard, we've been getting off pretty light the last few weeks. Next month is where the rubber really hits the road in terms of what we will need to do going forward with our school system in the coming year. And hopefully we will have enough guidance from the legislature by the time we make our ultimate decision that we can make ones that really are in the best interest, of our young people and our teachers and the other folks that we serve in our community. Another quick reminder too, at the end of March, I believe March 27th, you will all have an opportunity to hear a presentation by a representative of the newly formed Health Insurance Trust. Let me just say this is still a work in progress, so whatever you hear at that time, there's still probably going to be a lot of work yet to do, but this will be an opportunity for the rest of you to see and hear what I've been experiencing over the course of the last year in terms of whether or not that might present viable options for us going forward. But keep the 27th open on your calendar for that possibility.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Trustee Thompson. You're green.
I got a chance to go to the art show on Thursday. I love that we do that because it's such a great opportunity to show off how talented our students are. I just think every year I go, it's even better than it was the year before. And so I appreciate that. And there's just so many different channels of art that the students can choose from each trip, and I appreciate that as well. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention was kind of an extra shout out to Maddie Beater, who was the first girls wrestling champion for CMR, and I just think it's really awesome that she gets to help lead the way to help continue to grow girls sports, which is growing pretty significantly in the United States, and I think it's pretty cool that she gets to be a part of that.
Well, thank you. Breaking past practice, I'm just going to do mine now in the line of sequence. Yeah. I just want to amplify Superintendent Hoyer's comments about the high voltage weekend. It was fantastic. Those people in the room were supercharged by high voltage. So many people, too, were coming home. Kids from Great Falls, I call them kids, but young teachers from Great Falls wanting to come home. And I thought that spoke a lot about the great things of our community. And then I, too, was in the classroom this past week, Friday afternoon, at Riverview, teaching, I'll use the word loosely, second grade at Mrs. Ross's class. And she sort of threw me a curveball. I walked in the room at 11:30 in the morning, and each of the little kids has a graham cracker about this size slathered with blue frosting with an Oreo cookie at the end. And they were enjoying these snacks, and man, were they buzzed. We had a great time, but my respect for teachers has always been paramount, but now it's 10 times that. So to be a second grade teacher, you have to have a lot of energy and a lot of creative fluency. But I had a blast. Thank you. Trustee Skotagowski.
Yeah, so I just to touch on the consensus building, I think one thing at the end, they asked everyone in attendance to share kind of the message that they hope we will all receive as trustees. And really, there was a pretty common theme that they hope that we'll listen. That there was a large number of community members who gave 3 entire days of their time to really digging in and considering every option on the board. There was, everybody brought ideas. They also represented a lot of ideas that we hear a lot in the community of things that need to be cut, and everything was very carefully considered and analyzed and discussed. Um, and we have some ideas of what that future budget could look like. But I think it was very important to the folks that were at those sessions that we listen to them and consider their work and the discussions that went into that. Really the other feedback that I took away from that was also that people really appreciated the process. They appreciated having their opportunity to learn, and they appreciated the opportunity to talk about kind of these decisions that are ahead for us. And of course, there's still so many things up in the air between the federal budget and the legislature that we don't have all the puzzle pieces quite yet for what the budget is going to look like. But we do know that the funding formula is not working for districts like ours that have either slightly declining enrollment or steady enrollment. So, this was really important conversation. And I really appreciated everybody that came to the table to have that conversation. So, something that we'll learn more about in the weeks and months to come. The other meeting that I attended between our previous school board meeting was the safety committee. And we did hear, some of that school data that Heather presented, looking at, really pretty dramatic improvements for obviously attendance and kind of behavior problems. So that was great to see. There was also some great data about attendance improving. And we'll hope that that is the start of a trend in the right direction. The committee also looks at everything from, people slipping on ice to, the kind of follow-ups to the school shooter drills. So it's really a wide array of topics that are covered in a short amount of time. So if anybody has any interest, they're really very interesting meetings. I would encourage anybody else to attend those if they want to know more about the safety of our schools.
Thank you very much. Trustee Finicum.
Thank you, Gordon. I appreciate it. A couple thoughts from myself today. I really get a kick out of character strong, particularly honesty. Gosh, shouldn't we all learn more from that? I like that. Talking about high voltage weekend, I'm going to see if Luke is going to smile, but he was sure smiling Saturday morning because of the number. He's smiling now still. Good. And so after all of the interviews happened on Saturday, I would be curious to hear what the numbers look like now or a month from now. Love it.
Fantastic. Thank you.
We were able to interview 27 individuals. A couple of them were interviewed for multiple type positions. For example, elementary, and they also had a foreign language, which would allow them to teach K-12. Right now, we do not have a lot of openings because we only had a few people resign and retire early before our first round of in-districts. But we were able to offer, I believe it was 8 offers that we will let them know after next week because we have to let the process of in-districts run before we can offer any of those positions. In addition to that, there are another 6 to 8 individuals that have K-12. However, we didn't have anybody at all right now in those positions that have resigned or retired. So it's a little bit of a waiting game. But trust me when I say I pulled them off to the side and had a quick conversation with them, that we believe in you. We wouldn't bring you here if we didn't think you were good teachers, but you need to give us a little time so our process of hiring can work itself out. And I think I'm pretty confident they will give us a couple weeks to get pieces squared away. So really was a very positive experience for us again. And I just want to reiterate, Becky Nelson does a fabulous job, and Mr. Blewett was a excellent choice for the speaker. His passion for not just Great Falls and Great Falls Public Schools, but for what our teachers do for his own children and what they did for him. So it was a great opportunity for everybody to come together.
Thank you very much.
And I think we owe a thank you to Luke as well. Let's give him a round of
All right.
applause. And then later on Saturday morning, I got to be a table host. So I got to visit with all 27 of those son of a guns. And man, I'll tell you what, yes, they look young, but they are also ambitious and really excited about the rest of their lives. Speaking of the legislation moving forward in Helena, there's a lot of pro public school bills working its way through. And so optimistically positive that those will come to fruition and we might get some good news for our local voters. Speaking of the Montana School Board Association, board members, we are looking for someone amongst us to raise your hand to Mr. Gordon and say, I think I would like to become that board member on that. Quit laughing. But that is actually one of the fun ones. And please call me, ask me what it means to be on that board, because it has been very, very rewarding. That's it.
Thank you, Trustee Sunchild. Yeah.
Like, I have to go back and they are wonderful. Like, if you could see all of the things that our teachers are trying to do, like, this is like, I get that reading, I'm like, that is fantastic. Like, that's so good. And it's just, I love it. I absolutely love it. And the other thing that was so fun to see, so Frankie, Mr. Gilbert, his dad was my principal for years. And he's very different demeanor, and he's so proud, and I love to see that. But the second little girl was reading, her little friend was really cheering her on and smiling for her. She was so excited for her, and she kind of golf clapped for her, and she came back, she high-fived her and said, good job. That was the sweetest thing ever.
That's a lot, my friend. Thank you so much. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thanks to everybody for what you do. You're so dedicated to this group of people, and the others in the room, thank you so much. And with that being said, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.